Hello, we are live again on YouTube. Kind of like the live feel. I like doing events when I'm out live with you guys, and so this is kind of, I guess, the next best thing to doing that. I'll give everyone a couple seconds to get on here and say hello. Um, if you guys are going to tune into the live streams, do say hello, introduce yourself, say hi, ask a question. It's all good. Today we're talking about studentdoctor.net, the SDN, that terrible website that is the plague of all pre-med hopes, right? So I just wanted to do this video because it's interesting. I meet with so many students and I coach so many students, and I always ask myself, like, how could it have gone so wrong for you in your career? Like, how could you have made that decision? Why did you do that thing? It seems so illogical. And I would say 9 times out of 10, it's because they were on studentdoctor.net and that's what they told them to do. And I was like, I don't understand why you guys like studentdoctor.net so much. I know it seems like they're giving you information, and I guess I shouldn't say I don't know why you guys like it, because I do know why you guys like it. You guys like it because it's exactly like Instagram or Facebook, but for pre-meds. And I'm going to tell you guys why that's the case. It's like that because studentdoctor.net, much like Instagram or Facebook, is anonymous. So people get on Instagram and pretend to be something they're not and all those kind of things, and represent themselves certain ways and say that they're doctors. And I've actually had to bust people on this before, because there's people on Instagram who are going by their tag is at doctor something or other, and they go out there and they offer advice to people, and people take this advice like it's a real doctor talking, and it's actually not a doctor if you do a little bit of homework. But the problem is it's anonymous. So unless you really dig and really try to figure out who they are, you don't know who they are. And on studentdoctor.net, it's the same exact thing. There's a bunch of people on there. You don't know if they're real, you don't know if they're fake, and 9 times out of 10 they're fake. Because people who are really doing stuff in the world, in pre-med and medicine, they're not on studentdoctor.net answering 5-page answers to people's stuff on studentdoctor.net. It's just not realistic. And the way you know it's not realistic, just like Instagram, is it's a land of extremes. So you go on studentdoctor.net, what do you find? Someone who knows nothing asking a question. Hey guys, I know nothing. I've never heard of medical school. Tell me how to get into medical school, right? And they ask us a super broad, general question like, tell me how to get to medical school. And if you've emailed me, you know, if you send me that question, I'm going to send back like, please clarify, because that's the biggest question in the world. Because no one can tell you, not knowing you, how to get into medical school if you just say, how do I get into medical school? There has to be a specific question you're asking. And so people will get on there and say, I don't know anything about medical school. Tell me how to get into medical school. And then what happens? People jump on there and they say, oh, you know what? I've gotten into 15 medical schools. I've attended medical school multiple times. I know exactly what you need to do. You need to do all these kind of things. You need to get a 3.8 GPA. You need to be perfect on the MCAT. You need to do research, all these things, right? I did that and I got into every school ever. It's amazing. You won't believe it. Right? And that's what they say. And then you read that and you're like, oh man, this is great advice. This guy got into 15 medical schools. He must know what he's talking about. All the while, this is some guy who's bitter and never got into medical school and makes himself feel better by going on studentdoctor.net and pretending like he's in the know. And it's sad, and I'm like making a joke out of it, but it's dead serious, because you guys follow stupid advice and you guys believe it's real because it's on studentdoctor.net, the end all be all, right? But studentdoctor.net, like Instagram, like Facebook, and even like YouTube, right, is easy access. Anybody can start an Instagram page. Anybody can start a Facebook page. Anybody can start a YouTube channel. It's very simple. So you can get on here and you can spout whatever you want on YouTube and pretend like it's real, pretend like it's valid, but then nobody has any credentials to back anything up. And I go around, right, because my whole mission is to essentially take down the internet of liars and people who are lying to pre-meds and taking people's money and doing stuff, and they have no idea. And so I go around some of these YouTube channels and some people's websites, people's Instagram, and they profess to be all these experts and all this kind of stuff, and these cats have no credentials. They've never been to medical school. And I'll tell you one perfect example. There's a guy who has a YouTube channel. It's very popular with you guys. He has like 1 million kajillion subscribers, right? He does all these videos. He additionally has a website where he will sell you his old application, his essays. He'll sell you all these items for like $40, $50, $60, and people pay for these things. He also sells consultations, right? And these consultations, the way they're set up, is that you send him all your information, and then he basically sends you back, here's what you should do. And then for that, you pay upwards of $700 or $800, depending on the exact service you want. Now, that sounds stupid, but this guy's actually making excellent money ripping you guys off. And he goes by the moniker of Dr. Something. I'm not gonna put him on blast. Everyone knows what they do, but Dr. Something. And so everyone assumes he's a doctor. So I actually have software that allows me to see the back end of everybody's website and actually go through to see who people are. So I actually went through this rabbit hole and found out who this guy was. It turns out this guy actually applied to MD schools, didn't get any MD schools. He then got into a DO school, went to the DO school, and he actually dropped out after a year. He then entered a master's program and dropped out of that master's program after a year. He then floundered around doing random stuff for a little while until he discovered he could make money on the internet off of you guys not doing your due diligence into who knows what they're talking about, right? The anonymous internet. And one of the breeding grounds where he preys on people is on studentdoctor.net. He goes on there, he's one of those 5 badge people who's verified, been an SDN member since 1982, right? Has all these great comments, he's active on there. And the only reason he's active on there is to give you guys bad advice, so that way you feel terrible about what you are doing, which was correct, and you go and you hire him for his services. And you guys don't even recognize it. And so I really struggle with wanting to get on here and do YouTube stuff and all this stuff, but I keep trying to reiterate with you guys, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not an SDNer, I've never posted to SDN in my entire life, because I'm out here doing real stuff with real people, right? I don't need to be on SDN. I can actually go out and affect students, right? I'm having an event next Saturday. We're gonna have a couple hundred kids for 4 hours doing an event. It's gonna be incredible, right? That's a real live event. I'm gonna be doing 3 days of lecturing at UCLA this summer, 3 entire days. I'm doing 8 hours, 3 days in a row at UCLA with their medical school in partnership with them. They're bringing me in to train up students. That's real credentials, right? You guys go to my website, it shows you exactly who I am. Go to my Instagram, you see my family on there, you see all these kind of things. I don't like sharing that stuff on the internet, but it's important that you guys understand that I am who I am, and people on student.net are not. And I don't hate it because it's, and this person makes a comment that I hate student.net because it's free. I don't hate it because it's free. I'm giving you free advice right now. But I'm telling you that studentdoctor.net has a lot of misleading things on there that are gonna lead you guys astray. And the perfect example is, how many of you guys have gone to studentdoctor.net and felt good about it? How many times? If you go to studentdoctor.net 10 times, how many times do you go away feeling great? Would you just call it half? Okay, and then those half times you go away and you feel great, you see you got good advice from studentdoctor.net. So someone was honest and said 0. Because the truth is, you never feel good going off studentdoctor.net. So you can lie to yourself and say you feel good, but it's just like Instagram, right? Oh my gosh, look at everybody's 6-pack. Look at everybody on vacation. I'm over here studying. I don't have a 6-pack. What am I doing with my life? I'm such a loser. But you realize, wait a minute, these aren't even real pictures. This person's had $50,000 worth of plastic surgery, and it's terrible, right? And it's the same way with studentdoctor.net. They get on there, and people want to pretend like they're doing big stuff. They only show you the highlights. So they'll get on there and they'll brag about their 3.8 GPAs. But the truth is, guys, this is from someone who knows medical admissions. There aren't enough 3.8 students to support the number of 3.8 students on studentdoctor.net. There just aren't that many. Think about in your own lives. How many of you guys know more than 5 students with 3.8 GPAs? You don't. You don't. I work with students all the time. Right? Go talk to deans. 3.8s are a rare thing. That's why it's a 3.8. It's that like mystical unicorn. 3.8, 4.0 GPA, right? Nobody has all those. So how could all those 3.8, and then this is the other part of this, right? How many of you guys actually know a 3.8 student, right? You guys know 3.8 students. Some of you will know 1 or 2. Let's say you even know a 3.6 student. That 3.6 student, how social are they? Are they the type of person who's going to be spending all this time making posts on studentdoctor.net? Or are they the gunner who's always studying, who's always working on their research, who's always doing something productive? They're not on studentdoctor.net, right? It's just, it's like real life does not match up with what is on studentdoctor.net. And so I have to constantly say to you guys, really vet everything you guys do, right? And people can get on here and criticize me and say whatever, but just look at my credentials. I'm just asking you to vet everyone else. I'm not saying listen to me, but vet everything you listen to. Because if you're on somebody's YouTube channel and they're doing videos about fashion and videos about food and videos about all the other stuff, then is their core business, are they really trying to help students, or are they trying to get subscribers and build up their online persona so that way they can sell you socks and shoes or whatever and make money off you guys watching their videos, right? Because you guys all assume that all this stuff, these Instagram people who put all this great stuff out there, they're doing it for free. They're not. They get paid off that, all those endorsements that they're recommending to you, right? And when I do my channel, I intentionally don't really try to sell you guys any terms of other companies' products people have offered me to sell you guys stuff, right? MCAT companies have come to me, hey, sell our product. I'm not interested in that. I want to be objective and be able to give you guys the real every single time I get on this thing. It's not difficult, right? And it was funny because someone, as the flip side of this, someone asked me the other day when I was out at an event, I was like, hey, listen guys, this was a great talk today. If you want some more stuff, I have great courses, da da da. And they asked me, I was like, it's always really weird, like when people like sell stuff, like do you ever feel uncomfortable selling stuff? I said, no, I have no problems recommending people go to my website. Why? Because my stuff is quality. So why would you ever be ashamed about putting stuff out there that's quality and provides value to people? So I think that you guys just, all I'm going to say about studentdoctor.net is don't go there, because it will honestly, it's miserable. It's a toxic environment, and 90% of the stuff on there is BS. It's just people on there who want a big dog and sound important, and they don't know what they're talking about. If you guys want real advice, truly, 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 find mentors in your life. And one of my favorite things to tell students when people, or become my mentees is I should never be your only mentor. Because for all you know, I could be full of garbage too. Have 10 mentors, have 20 mentors, have people in your life you can rely on and run things by, right? You should never take anything a grain of salt. I can get out here and tell you what Student Doctor is terrible. Don't believe me. Go watch 10 other videos or find people, but always, always, always check and verify. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying listen to me. I'm saying verify everything, even though I'm not lying to you. But but verify everything, challenge everything, and challenge the status quo. And I guess I wasn't going to talk about this, but we can talk about it because I kind of brought it up. But challenging the status quo is I meet with students, and some of your guys' favorite words is, well, of course. Of course I do that. Of course. And it comes from this whole culture we have in education of everything's a given. So whenever a teacher tells you something, they expect you to accept it at face value. Oh, so you should be studying this way. You should be doing this way, and you accept it, right? We listen to our parents to tell us how to study, yet, right, if most of you guys are in my boat, your parents didn't go and graduate college. So how is my parent, who's never been to medical school, going to tell me how to study effectively for medical school? Yet we listen to everything our parents say. We listen to our teachers who have not been high-level studiers. And so we get into this culture of we pick up all these bad habits and bad ways of doing things. And one of the things that I talk about with people all the time is in the way they study, that they assume that they should be going to lecture every single day. And I try to tell people, no one who actually thinks objectively about school and tries to come up with their own opinion would say to themselves, oh, I should go to lecture every day, all the time, every lecture, every class. Because sometimes you get into classes and the teacher is awful. They're hot garbage. They get up there and they read from the slides, or even worse, they didn't even make their own slides, right? There's some of those teachers who will just take the slide deck that comes with the book and they go through that for 45 minutes, and you just wasted 45 minutes in that lecture. Yet, some students I meet with will say, well, obviously I go to lecture every day. Of course I do. Of course. Because you've been bred to think that way. And so I always want to encourage you guys, whenever you hear something, whenever you think something, whenever someone else is doing something, always vet it, always think about it, and see if it makes sense for what you want to do, right? Don't just take it at face value, because you'll end up somewhere you don't want to be. And the practical, if to really bring this home, to bring it to premeds, is there's a lot of people that are in Postbac programs out there, right? And I have a video on Postbac programs. There's tons of information out there on Postbac programs. But what I want to get to is that when you enter a Postbac program, they have all sorts of resources for you, which is amazing. But with those resources, they also have certain expectations of you. And so one of the students I talked to was in a Postbac program, and that Postbac program set up MCAT prep for the students. And it was like, all great, MCAT prep. And I was like, yeah, you should use that and stuff. And I said, okay, well, when are you going to take the test? And they told me they were going to take the test in the MCAT at the end of June. And I said, well, why are you taking the end of June? And they said, well, our MCAT prep runs until end of June, so they signed us up at the end of June to take the test. And I said, that doesn't make sense to me, because if you're taking the MCAT at the end of June, that means you're not going to get your score back until like late July, early August, and then your application's not going to be verified until late July, early August, which isn't the worst, but it isn't the best, right? Because anybody who knows anything about the medical school application, the number one thing you need to do is have your application submitted as soon as the applications go out. And you can get away with submitting your application early July, fine. But if you're not taking the MCAT until late June, that puts you into like the August category almost. So that Postbac program was telling her that she had to take the MCAT then. And I told her to tell the Postbac program, this is my life, I'll do what I feel like. And it was really, really interesting, right? And I said it to her, and she was like shocked. She's like, well, what do you mean? They are all doing this. Everyone else is doing this. And so she thought that she had to do that. She felt that pressure. I said, no, you don't have to do that. And she went to her Postbac program, told her Postbac program that she wasn't going to take it then. They got upset with her, and she said, well, what are you guys going to do? And you know what they said? Nothing. Turns out she ended up scoring 4 points higher by taking her test early, because she actually focused on it, and then she actually had her application in. And I don't know if she's going to be accepted or not, but she got her stuff in. That's, you know what I mean? So that's what it's about, is about doing and finding your own path for what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go. And she did amazingly on her MCAT. So never assume that what you assume is what you assume. Always question it. Oh my gosh, like 50 messages came through. I must have bad reception here. But anyway, I want to encourage you guys to really form your own opinions and think critically about your lives. One of the things I really stress in my courses is thinking critically about what you're doing. And if you think critically of yourself and your actions and how those actions result in your outcomes and what happens in your life, you'll be a lot more successful. So this was a kind of a weaving stream, but let me summarize for you. 1, student.net is death. Stay off student.net. 2, even if you trust someone, even if you feel someone has your best interest at heart, your parents, your teachers, your advisors, your mentors, always question. There's no shame. You should never feel bad about questioning something and finding your own truth and validity in what people are saying to you. So always vet things. Lastly, find your own path, and don't be afraid to go out on a limb and do your own thing and be so concerned about what they are doing, what they are saying, right? And that's actually student.net, right? Student.net is what they say, what they did, right? Do what you do so that you can be successful and have your own thing. And these questions, I can actually scroll back into questions. That's kind of fancy. So I am not tech savvy. I can barely work my phone. I actually had no social media until I started trying to get out here and help you students. So let me actually see what some of these questions are. Do you guys have time to hang around for a second? Have me answer a couple questions? Let's see. I can only go back a couple minutes, but let's see. How do admissions officials feel about W's on a transcript? W's, I's, like the incomplete. So W's are withdrawals. I's are incompletes. Admissions officials feel bad about them, not in general. And this is right. This is the nuances of answering people's questions. So whenever you ask someone a question and you give them a broad question, they give you a specific answer, you know that they are full of it. So here is a somewhat broad answer, slightly more specific to your broad question. So what do they feel about W's? W's and I's, withdrawals and incompletes. If you have 1 or 2 W's or incompletes, it's fine. However, if you take 3 classes one quarter, you withdraw from one of them, then the next quarter you sign up for 3 classes and you withdraw from one of them, that's a bad look. Why? Because it shows them that you haven't learned from experiences. You're not a person who grows and matures and doesn't make the same mistake twice. In fact, you make it once, twice, 3 times every single quarter. So withdrawals and incompletes are okay, but you can't have them consistently throughout your transcript. So maybe you have 1, 2, 3 early on in your career, but then you need to get your head together and get on track and stop withdrawing from stuff. Stop it. Cut it out. All right? So I want to answer more questions. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I gotta end this. It's telling me it's beeping, and then I gotta. Oh, you guys, we can. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna log off of this, and I can't keep any of these questions. There's a lot of them on here. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna sign off right now, and I'm gonna go live again in like 10 seconds, and then you guys re-ask your questions so we can keep the conversation going. I'll do a Q&A session right now, right back at you. If you liked this session, make sure you like this and share these videos around, guys, right? Like I'm saying, I'm trying to saturate the internet with good advice, and so please share these videos, like these videos. But we're back. 10 seconds, cut me off. Bye.